Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Star Fox Zero video walkthrough. This is Titania, the Barren planet, a fox in the desert. The hits here is 342 for the gold medal, and this is my favourite level in the game. This is a Landmaster section, and the reason that this is my favourite is because you are watching my first attempt at getting the score on this mission, and I got it. And all I can say is I think that the design and the flow of the bad guys on this mission is top tier. It just made sense, it felt natural, and I was able to get all the hits I needed to get the score. It felt really, really good, and I reckon, you know, the really great players of this game are going to get some sick scores on this mission because it flows so well, and it makes a lot of sense to somebody who's, you know, not really that score inclined in these games. So somebody who is going to tear up a storm on this. Something worth noting though, you do not actually come here, I don't think you do, unless Peppy gets killed by Fox, or the Fox, what the hell's that about? If you kill him, then you're a bad person. I mean, by Starwolf and his team. Normally you'll go another route if you do what I did in that last video, but I wanted to do the kind of the standard route through the game. This is the one I originally took when I first came through it. So it'll... pretty simple stuff, but this game has got some really harsh criticisms, and you'll notice in my first video I mentioned I had some problems with it. I love the multiple lock-on of the tank, by the way. I think it makes the game feel so much better because it enables you to get those shots you want and don't miss out on those hits. And I'm just knocking the analog to do these spins so I can move across the screen. Like, this is a mission that reminds me of Sin and Punishment, even though I think Sin and Punishment is a considerably better game, because those games are fantastic. And I haven't played the sequel, which is a regret of mine, but hopefully they'll bring it to maybe Wii U or something, up its graphics. I'd love them to bring it to a console, because the original Sin and Punishment was on the N64. That wasn't motion controls, you know. I want to play these games with my analogs. I'll do fine. You might not think I'll be able to aim. I'll find a way. Just let me play these awesome games. But the dude from Polygon, whose review was based on not finishing the game because he couldn't, because he thought the controls made it unplayable, which, once again guys, does this look unplayable to you? Not at all. I might not be the best at it, but it's definitely playable, and I do think that it has a skill ceiling for people to improve, people to get really, really good, and that's just one of those people who won't, which is really sad. But there's an interesting discussion there on, should games reviewers be good at games? I don't think that they necessarily have to be good at games to review it. I just think you have to get to the end, which is a statement I've expressed before, because I just think you should see everything at least once before you can give an impression on what you believe the whole to be, because without the whole picture I think it's difficult to have an opinion that's worth judging. But I've expressed this numerous times. Where I do think having an affinity for gameplay matters is when it comes to recording, to display gameplay. When you do not have commentary, when you do not have any kind of analysis or any kind of voice on a video that's elevating that video beyond said gameplay, I think that's when you should have somebody knowing what they're doing, because if you're there to show early gameplay, early exposure of a game, there's a reason why the people on the E3 stage are the guys who are really familiar with the game, are the people that have done that demo hundreds and hundreds of times. Because if they were to go up and they had Johnny Nobody on that controller who didn't know where to go, who got stuck all the time, couldn't aim, and ended up running into walls and shit, do you really think that's going to display that game in a good light and make people want to buy it? No, it's going to make people really angry. And that's what I think Polygon don't seem to realise. If you're going to show us early footage of Doom, don't show us footage of a dude mashing his face on a controller. We want to see the fucking game, not the guy's ineptitude, and that's the issue. It's not the fact that the guy's bad. The guy can be as bad as he wants. That's not a problem. It's when you're displaying that as representative gameplay of the game. Because nowadays, people are so strict on gameplay, it's not even funny. Like, look at the best walkthroughs on YouTube. Look at the most impressive gameplay on YouTube. There's still somebody in the comments shitting on them, saying they should have done something better. Because everybody needs that affirmation on their own ego. Everybody needs that inflation. It's kind of preposterous, but it does happen. As I turn into the other form of the tank to get around this wall and take a few hits doing it, but it works, and I get my medal thing. But that's just one of those crazy things when it comes to reviews and playing games. But to make a blanket statement like that, the game's unplayable, it's not true. You know, look at some of Alex Navarro's reviews of when he gave, what was it, that fucking trucker game, a 0 out of 10 or something bad like that. That is a game that's unplayable, because it was just a buggy, broken mess of a game that nobody'd really tested, and there were times where you couldn't actually play because the game was just too poorly put together. That's an example of what that kind of statement should be, not this. You know, this is a game that works. It has some kooks and it's goofy in a lot of ways, but it works, you know? And that's what I don't understand with the strictness of things. I was speaking about Platinum previously, and I was talking about people being really unfair. People were really unfair to Legend of Korra, because there were a lot of Korra fans that went to that game, and all they saw were PS2 visuals and button mashy combat. I think the combat in Korra is spot on. I think it's a little too simplistic, and it can be improved effortlessly in some very easy ways in a more elaborate game, but the foundations and the fundamentals of that combat are wonderful. As we come up to this boss here, very simple boss, guys. Shoot it in its like mouth titty, just shoot it on its throat, then it'll get to a point where it has these weird orbs on its body. Destroy all of those to get to the point where you shoot it in its mouth titty again, and that's about it. When you see it going for an attack, do your dodge, get out of the way, and then use it to punish its weak spots. And if you've got any bombs, they'll speed this up, but make sure you land them and you don't detonate them prematurely, like I just did then. Bit of a waste. But for the most, very simple fight, very fun boss fight. But Platinum's combat is decent always. You know, even in the bad games, the combat's decent. It's just usually there's a lack of elaboration. Like Korra had the style switches, which didn't really make too much of a difference. It just gave some diversity. Its blocking and its parrying were spot on. They were very precise. They rewarded timing, precision. The ranking in that game rewarded precision, timing, and lethality. It wasn't, you know, chucking the ranks at you, but at the same time they weren't insane to get. Whereas in Transformers Devastation, they turned ranking in that game into literally sweeping up outside your house. It's just a perpetual task that never goes away and isn't any fun. So they're way better scoring in Korra than it is in Transformers, even though Transformers is a way better game. And the thing to bear in mind here is the director for Korra is a guy called IG something. I don't know his second name. It's probably pretty tricky to pronounce, but it's on Wikipedia if you want to double check it. And he's the guy who's directing Turtles, and when I saw this I was a little bit worried, because I think this is a guy who is not quite of the same echelon of Kaiji Saito, Hashimoto, and Kamiya-san. Yet I think he's getting up there, you know. He's doing projects, he's making stuff work, he's finding his feet and his identity as a director, which everybody has to do. And unfortunately it seems like the Turtles game is going to suffer in a lot of ways, because to me, I don't think it looks like it's a game that took that very long to make, because when Platinum puts in the time, you usually get a level of competency. And to me, it seems like they're really trying to homage the arcade game, where a lot of the design is everybody runs up to dudes and mashes them down until you get to a boss. It's kind of a 3D representation of those old school ideals. And there might be a lot of fun in that, who knows? I haven't played it yet. I've got it sat on the bed next to me, and when I finish these, I'm going to start to discover that game for myself. But I suppose the thing I'm trying to say, and it rings true about Star Fox, it rings true about a lot of games, is judge them yourself, guys. If you like a developer, or if you like a series and a game comes out and the reviews are very harsh, don't take them as facts, you know. Forge your own path, make your own decisions, and you just might find a game you love that they told you you'd hate.